All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We start another new week here in the manosphere. Well, we can't even call it a manosphere when it comes to Trump. He's such a child. But again, he continues to embarrass us on the world stage. A meeting of world leaders today at the White House in the Oval. He took some questions and just meandering off and on different subjects that had nothing to do with today's meeting. He's talking about Scotty Scheffler and his amazing shot, and a friend of his, probably imaginary. He's just making stuff up, folks. He's just making stuff up. People calling him, telling him what he did in DC in 4 days was absolutely amazing. Really, I could have done it in 4 days at Foggy Bottom in Georgetown and the places these guys have been patrolling. And I wouldn't have needed any of the three-letter agency people, any of the alphabet agency people. But he's still making shit up. And you know what's awesome of him? He wants Putin to tell Ukraine which parcels of land, he would like to have. It's insane. Times 10. Brock Ganeles joins me now live from high atop the Hudson River Valley where we grew up. Brock, I mean, really? Putin is going to tell Zelensky what they're going to take, what he has to give up? Are you kidding me? Wake up, Trump, you moron.
I
That
mean,
is rich.
I mean, they've added in regions, right, that he can't even take militarily, so he's just going to hand them over. Everything. I mean, today's press conference was so packed with so many lies and such bullshit that it's kind of embarrassing if the media actually reports on it as if it was an event couched in sanity. Like, I want to know, first of all, with the story of the guy going to dinner in Washington, D.C., and that no one was going to dinner until he sent the troops in there. It turns out, statistically, apparently restaurants are down 30% in the last week. Because of course they are, because there's troops all over the street and there's people protesting. No one's like living the comfortable life right now in DC, right? Most of them, either people are staying home, being chased by ICE, or protesting. So that was total bullshit. I'm still, Mark, will somebody ask, what fucking 6 wars or 5 wars have you solved in your 8 months I mean, it's about what? Is he saying Israel Gaza? Is he saying
he can't be.
Israel Iran? Is he saying? I'm just trying to. He's saying Pakistan, India. I just want to hear the list of these wars that apparently where he brokered peace. I'm just trying to get to 5. Is he saying like the Yemeni war where he bombed Yemen and he counts that as him brokering peace between Yemen and Saudi Arabia? I don't even know. I just want someone to ask him the question because I want him to try to name 5 countries. Because it's such bullshit. He's just throwing it out there, and now it's just, as usual, it's just become like, quote, quasi-fact, because he just says it enough, and no one challenges him on it, so it becomes like acceptable repartee.
See, here's the thing, Brock. You're hitting below the belt now. You want him to get up there and say man, woman, camera, TV, and do it again.
Yeah. Name the 5 countries.
Name 5 countries, much less 10 countries that have been in conflict. He doesn't know. That's the problem with diplomacy. You need to be a student of history. You need to understand why these conflicts began. He doesn't understand that Putin's trying to put back the old Soviet Union. He doesn't get that. He hasn't read a history book in a month of Sundays. He has no context for any of these conflicts. He doesn't know why any of them are happening or the story behind them. And that's why they're patently incompetent.
Well, he's gotten older and he's not as good at his lying and his bullshit because now we know he's really just trying to play the game of the stay in power game, right? So number 1, siege on DC. Right? Take the Capitol by force. Number 2, he's talking about the mail-in voting, right? So he's already playing the whole game about how elections, there's no election integrity, and him and Putin both agree that you can't have the mail-in voting. So he's already sowing the seeds, and then went so far as to play off of the fact that Ukraine is not having elections right now because in their constitution they don't have elections during wartime, and Trump already spinning that as something that maybe he could do that here. Is that if the U.S. is in a war in his fourth year, that there wouldn't need to be elections. So he's just going to throw all of this undemocratic stuff at the wall and see how much of it America accepts. And unfortunately, the media accepts all of it. And unfortunately, I think, as the people, we've accepted already too much of it. So he's just pushing.
Yeah. And remember, Brock, too, the media is just good for business, right? They're just greedy scumbags trying to make more money, right? That Trump is good for business. They can put the crazy shit my uncle said, tonight at 5, right? That's all that is, right? Everything else needs to come down to us. It needs to come down to Adam Mockler, Dash Dabrowski, Two Men in Black and White, the Native Land Pod. The movement needs to come from the people, right? Because we got one side that doesn't know how to fight back, and then we got the other side that cheats, robs, lies, and steals, and wins the war of messaging. So the only thing in between is the people. And if the movement doesn't come from the people, we ain't got shit. I mean, we've already lost our democracy, right? And the Eastern leaders of the world who came to the White House with Zelensky to have his back obviously understand that. Right? That's why they came.
Yeah.
Because they saw Zelensky get swarmed and jumped on about the fact that he didn't have on a fucking blazer last time he was there. J.D. Vance. What sets J.D. Vance off? You're not saying thank you enough. Really? Is that what you have to add to the conversation, you fucking putz? I mean, J.D. Vance is worthless. He ain't worth the leather on my old pair of Jordans. I mean, he's just trash, dude. And he offers nothing to the conversation. He offers nothing to the world stage. He got shamed out of the UK. The people at the restaurant wouldn't even serve him. They said, fuck that guy. We're not serving him. So, we have so little respect on the world stage right now. The other democracies in the world understand that, the US, with its military force, with its economic force, with its industrial force, needs to be a stable entity on the world stage. And that's why they came, right? To help this fucking moron that we have pretending to be a president understand how grave it is that we not let... Putin's reneged on every deal he's ever had. He's a classic renegger. That's what he does. All he does is walk out on agreements. Every one that he's had before, right? Every agreement he's ever made since he's been in power, he's taken his word back. Guy's a thug. Why are we even doing business with this guy? Why are U.S. soldiers on their knees rolling out a red carpet for this?
Absolutely no reason. And it was so clear cut when we had a different leadership under Biden, right? We were supporting Ukraine. We were with the NATO allies, and it was all a debate of how many weapons to give them, how aggressive or offensive the weapons could or should be, what the usage of the weapons would be, right? Those were the points of debate, not whether we were just in flat out support of a democracy.
Right. And Brock, the scary part is, it's not like Rubio doesn't understand this.
They all understand it underneath.
Yeah, they all fucking
But
know.
Mark, here's the point that I'm getting to is Trump is supportive of Putin and the other autocrats because that's the direction he wants America to go. So he's literally trying to convince the American people along the way that we should want what Russia has, and that's the order we should have, because that's the better way of doing things, because he doesn't want there to be elections. He doesn't want there to be a change in power or succession, right? He just wants to stay in power. So he's trying to convince enough of America that that's in essence, the political order that we should have.
Right. And he's doing a nice job with the dumb MAGA base. Right? Because they don't get, I mean, these are the same people, that were cheering for the 1980 USA hockey team, right? And now they're all, yeah, Russia's not so bad, right? Remember back in 2016? Yeah, Russia's our friend. Russia. What's all this Russia stuff about, people? Because the racism was more important, right, than the allegiance to the flag,
Yeah, and
right?
then democracy.
And democracy, absolutely. Because they probably didn't see democracy ending. Now they can. Now you can see it clearly. Now you can see where it's gone.
Having said that, I did see a poll today that even conservatives, right, whatever a conservative means anymore, right, because I've always just considered it racist with the states' rights and
Right.
lower, but let's say it's lower taxes, small government, and strong national defense. Let's say that's the definition of conservative. Let's give them that, right? That they've even turned, the polling is even turned on Trump, probably primarily for the reason that it's not small government anymore. Yeah, Doji cut some people, but government is intervening in our lives in ways that were never acceptable to
No.
quote conservatives ever before. I actually heard,
Absolutely.
the quote in the article on the polling compared America that basically there's been a divorce between Trump and the American people, and we've divorced Donald Trump, but he basically got the house, the kids, and the car, right? He got all the assets. There's been a divorce. He got all the assets, but like the people and the mindset of the country is going in a different direction, but he still has everything, right?
Everything.
Yeah, he has
Right.
everything.
And that's the sad part, What wife in her right mind would give this lunatic, the kids, the car, and the house, right? And just take off, unless she had a new boyfriend. But, the way Melania was kissing on Gavin Trump on the tarmac there last time we saw them out there, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah,
But Trump's made his money, right? He's made billions of dollars in 8 months. So it's
that's all
been
he cares about.
incredibly lucrative. He's gotten a ton of adulation, which he loves, and a ton of attention, which he has to have, craves. And he's made an incredible amount of money because it's the most corrupt regime we've ever seen, maybe
Right.
globally, right? Or since since Trump and his oligarchs basically took all the riches of Russia. So that's probably why Trump loves Russia, because he sees how Putin made himself into a gazillionaire by stealing all the country's money, and he
Right.
has the same blueprint.
Right. And he's never going to get there. I mean, I can't imagine the rest of us sitting idly by and watching this guy enrich himself to the point where he's building White Houses and mansions all over the country like Putin has, and doing the things that Putin has done. Like, see, Putin's a killer, first of all. He's a KGB operative, spy, thug, stone cold killer, ruthless MFer, right? Trump ain't none of that. Trump's not even smart. Trump is child's play for Putin. So he's not getting there based on what he's seeing these other folks do. These other guys are smart, well educated. They're not scamming, drywall guys out of, 50,000 bucks, Trump Tower repairs. That's not how these guys made their bones. These guys made their bones by doing some serious shit, right? Espionage, right? Like, the shit we see in the movies.
But
Mission Impossible stuff.
Putin had to sell his population on the fact that he was going to restore the grandeur of the old Soviet Union, right? And that's what he had to sell them on to get the backing, or at least to get them to look the other way while he basically took everything over. I guess Trump's had the advantage that in America, because we're a multiracial, multi-ethnic society, that he could just play to the racism and xenophobia of the majority and get people on his side just with that. Like, there's enemies within. So he could play the others game, which means, basically Putin had to be slicker and smarter and craftier, and because he was selling a harder story to his people, and Trump's selling an easy story. And there's enough people lapping it up. I guess I'm just a little bit encouraged when I see that, some of his core support is peeling away. Maybe not for the reasons I wish they were souring on him, but as we say over and over, we'll take allies any way we can get them.
Yeah, wherever we can get them. And we laugh, but think about it, man. Soon we're soon going to see that the emperor has no clothes. He's being exposed day by day. The Epstein files, by the way, are supposed to come out on Friday. And, if we get drips and drabs, that's only going to satiate the public, right? They're going to want more.
But I don't know if I don't know if there's an expectation that we as the public are going to see the Epstein files on Friday, right? Yeah, some portion of House members supposedly are going to get some portion of an Epstein file from Pam Bondi, right? Supposedly something there's going to be some movement. I'm really curious to see or hear about how much or what's in there, or how redacted it is. It could be those pieces of paper, right, that's all black, because like there's like 3 words on the page.
Jeffrey Epstein. So, what's interesting about this, though, Brock? Remember, the House Oversight Committee subpoenaed the DOJ, right? So they're openly defying a subpoena. But then again, who's there to enforce it?
No one there to enforce it. But if they're sending something over, they can say, well, this is what we can send over that doesn't risk national security. They're gonna spin something. Right. I would be shocked. It's almost impossible that they're sending a significant file with a lot of information, right? I feel like they're trying to send something over to satiate the QAnon people that the files have been turned over or what could be turned over they're just trying to check the box and just get the dog to stop chasing the car, right?
Yeah. Here's the quote from Comer in his letter to Pam Bondi. It's imperative that Congress conduct oversight of the federal government enforcement of sex trafficking laws generally and specifically its handling of the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, I don't know how you just send a little bit of that, right? Because there were a couple of... Remember, Ghislaine had a no prosecution agreement from Alex Acosta and that sweetheart deal she got down in Florida. So she was never supposed to be prosecuted. That was one of the many lies that came out of Trump just recently, saying it was all a hoax, right? Remember when he tried to go back and say the whole thing's a hoax? It was made up. This is... Biden and the Democrats and Obama, they did all this. They made up all that stuff, right? But she had a non-prosecution agreement from Alex Acosta. By the way, he's one of Trump's former cabinet members. What was he, labor secretary?
Yeah, the first admin.
Yeah, and shit show 1. But, I just don't understand how they release a little bit of it and that satisfies the QAnon crazies. I can't see it.
But it's a great start. And you know what? It gets the story back into the headlines because the Alaska trip and today's, clown show in the Oval Office with Zelensky took up most of the air out of the room, right? They dominated the headlines for 48 hours. So Trump has been able to avoid the Epstein files for 48 hours.
Right. And I think the press goes right back to the Epstein files because, again, it's all about eyeballs, all about making money. They're going right back to the Epstein files, tomorrow, unless, something crazy happens. But what we know is that Europe is standing with Zelensky, standing strong, standing tall. We're still sending weapons as far as we know, or selling them, whatever Trump wants, however he wants to couch it. Witkoff got caught in a lie saying that, there was Article 5 protection for Ukraine. And Russia put out a statement saying, absolutely not. We did not agree to that. The Witkoff is an idiot, man. Looked like a deer in the headlights with his statement. This guy is so far out of his league, bro.
It's ridiculous. Some real estate guy from New York is running around playing Secretary of State Junior. Yeah, but he doesn't know the terms. He doesn't know the game. I mean, it's just...
He doesn't even know the players.
It's embarrassing.
It really is.
It's embarrassing.
It's a joke. And so, we're going to move on to the Epstein files again tomorrow, I feel like, because why waste time? What are we going to do? Monitor the situation there with President Zelensky? We're going right back to where the money is. And that is the Epstein files, baby. And, I got to feel like, with the way the victims have come on so strong, all they need is for somebody to call and they're going on TV, right? And they're telling the story of their horror They were raped and savaged over and over again, daily, daily. Just think how disgusting this thing is, bro. We cannot let this go as a civil
Yeah.
society.
Yeah, I wonder if there could just be like a almost like a spin-off committee where Democrats are just able to get, create a forum for all these victims to speak, or if one of the state prosecutors, like a Letitia James or someone, could bring some sort of state charges against either Maxwell or Epstein or, God forbid, Trump, right? Or Epstein in absentia, or it's somehow just create a forum to have open testimony. I was going to say again, but I don't think we've never had open testimony from these victims
No,
in a formal setting.
right? We should do like a January 6th style type deal. Maybe when we get back in power, we can do that. But I saw a little blurb today that said 72% of Americans are saying Trump should be removed. 7 out of 10. That's a lot of erosion, brother.
That's a huge number.
That
I mean,
is a huge
that's everyone who's not hardcore MAGA, right? That's
Exactly.
everybody. That means that leaves nobody in the middle road, and that's even a bunch of people that voted for him. Then, right? That's some of those
Right.
conservatives that have peeled off. That's I don't know. I mean, I don't know what poll that was. I'd have to see that, from multiple sources to believe it's gotten to that point. Because the last I saw was like a 62-38, like
Right.
disapproval to approval.
Approval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another 8 points, basically.
Right. Yeah, I think I saw it on Occupy Democrats. I'll dig it up though. But, again, what really has to go on here is that folks start getting actual fact-based information, right? And I say that because, again, Newsmax was hit with a $67 million fine that they agreed to pay, a lawsuit settlement over the 2020 election law.
Yeah, for why?
So let's see. These conservative networks paid 800 million and 70 million because of their lies to the public in their efforts to support Donald Trump. Now, you tell me why anybody in their right mind would watch either Fox Noise or this, Newsmax trash wherever they're located. I don't even know if I have them on my cable situation. But if I do, I'm deleting them.
Because people hear what they want to hear, right? They're going to go to
Right.
what they want to hear. So they don't care about the validity of it.
Right.
They can just chalk it up. Oh, that was a mistake, or they just settled to get it out of the way. They're minting money, so
Right.
whatever. They want to get caught up in court. I guess that's how you play it off.
Right. Well, and again, hey, remember, Trump's got what, like 28, 30 people from Fox on his staff right now. Right? Imagine.
Yeah, Heggs.
Imagine the
Well,
absurdity.
But Mark,
People who lie for a living are now working for the federal government, and we're supposed to trust what they tell us.
look, I love to hear about Trump's erosion of support. Of course, he embarrassed himself again today, but I still don't get, and I like what we saw in D.C. I don't know if the protests were strong again today. They might have gotten overwhelmed in the news by the Zelensky visit, so I didn't see any of that. I guess I'm disappointed that the Dallas lawmakers are going back to Dallas because it looks like that gerrymander, it's back to Texas, that gerrymander is going to go through. So, yeah, that was a nice 2-week escape and story, but they didn't stay with it. I guess maybe they're going to argue, well, we got the job done because we pushed California to counter punch, and now every governor is sort of on the hook to gerrymander in return, so to speak. So I guess that's why they've returned, but they're taking the L, right? They're going back and saying we're coming back and we lost, and
Right.
we did what we could. We made noise, but it's basically an admission of no power. Well, I guess it's true, right? They don't have power, but I guess now I hope they go on a barnstorming tour around Texas and at least let the Texas voters know that they're all being, in essence, screwed by their state leaders, and that stop voting for these jokers. And maybe that's the play for them now.
Yeah, you're all being hoodwinked. And again, the absurdity of this notion that, those 5 seats that they think they're going to pick up are heavily Hispanic districts and Latina districts. Hello? Latin America, what are you doing, baby? Wake up, baby. Did you hear even the guy who owns Trump Burger, that crazy restaurant down in Texas, he's up for deportation.
Now these nice videos of people getting like basically like, tracked down in the streets and like kind of roughed up and thrown in the backs of cars and vans. Right. I mean, there's a constant flow of those, and it's all Latinos running, right? I saw like the Venezuela delivery guy in D.C. and the guy in California got chased into traffic and run over. Like, just the anger level seems to me like it should be higher, and it seems like it should be every Latino in America. And I just haven't gotten that sense yet that...
No, I haven't either. I told you I spent a couple days in the Dominican Republic, and they were out and out incensed about what he was doing in America. I was asking him, you plan any visits, anything? He said, not while he's president. Shit, no. I mean, as simple as things are in the Dominican Republic, I mean, they have no desire to want to be a part of this shit show. And it's funny too, because Donald Trump, again, is a guy, we've talked about this before, who has no worldview, right? He's literally locked into his zip code. The guy never left fucking Manhattan until he, went to college. Right?
And then
the guy wasn't even, the guy went to Fordham, not to knock Fordham. But, Fordham is not an Ivy League school.
No, but he
had a good education.
And then he went. I thought he went to Penn. Was he? Was he? Didn't he go to Penn for
business school? Right, because Daddy got him in.
Yeah. I mean, his whole world is just between his ears, right? Like, he doesn't. Nothing really penetrates. It's so small and focused. But yeah, once again, there's still not. We haven't mustered up enough opposition yet. I was hoping that DC was going to be a lightning rod because it's such overreach.
Right.
And they seem to be protesting so hard and in a unified fashion that I really was hoping, and I still hope, that that's going to build and become sort of the building blocks for a bigger movement, a more angry movement, not a protest movement, but like a opposition movement, a confrontational, oppositional movement.
We need it.
Not a 50-51 type of thing, although I haven't heard from those guys in a while. Like, taking like the summer off.
What's the deal?
I felt like they had, if nothing else, they had generated a lot of following. We just wanted them to turn up the volume on that following and get that following to DC, but they really haven't done anything that I'm aware of the entire summer.
Right. All right, quick hit. What do you got for me?
Well, quick hit is, Mark, you did say that on Saturday night you had gotten together with the group of, I believe, your college and business associates or some combination of that. I think you mentioned it was a group of black men and women, mixed group of black men and women.
Absolutely.
Exclusively? Any white guys in the room?
Negative.
Okay. And it was a week after I'd gotten together with some of my old friends.
Black guys in the room?
No, there were not. My white friends. And I was my question is, I'm curious about, like, what were the non-political topics of conversation? More maybe social, entertainment, cultural. Like, what were people talking about? Like, for fun, not for, like, business.
So non-political conversations centered around a lot of family talk, right? A lot of us are grandparents now. A lot of us have older kids that are getting married and having kids. So a lot of talk centered around that. A lot of talk about sports, football, the HBCU classics, which ones we're going to, which ones we're not. White folks are really missing out on the HBCU classics because they are great shows and really good football. Matter of fact, you've got one coming up, the Whitney M. Young Classic at the Giant Stadium, whatever they're calling it now. What is it, Metro Life or whatever?
Yeah, MetLife.
Yeah, and so that was it. Like family, sports.
Let me just say those events come and go, and white people don't even barely realize it happened.
Right.
There may be whatever tens of thousands of people go to MetLife for that football game, but it's not really on. It's not on ESPN, right? It's the game's not covered, or is it?
Well, it is now
White
because
America doesn't really pay attention or notice.
yeah, and white America doesn't get ESPN Ocho either. They're on. It's on now. It's streaming or whatever. But back when we played, it wasn't on TV.
But
And I've been going to that game since the '70s.
what like TV shows or I don't know, movies, TV shows, music were people talking about saying you got to see, or what was it that everyone had watched that you could like share notes on?
Yeah, the new Spike Lee movie was really hot.
Okay,
Yeah,
with Denzel. It's with Denzel, right?
yeah, yeah. So a lot of people were talking about that, and then I didn't hear much on streaming. Sinners got a lot of airplay at the party. Folks were talking about that because they love, the ladies love Michael B. Jordan. So anytime he takes his shirt off, it's a good flick. But yeah, family, sports, classics. Because the classics are not necessarily sport. They're football games, but the football games are the reason for the party, the reason for the bands, the reason for the camaraderie. And it brings two HBCU alumni bases together to party together. And, they're always a lot of fun. It's just like homecoming. And homecoming was a big topic too.
So, had people watch the SEC football Netflix thing?
No,
Okay.
no.
So no one there was recommending or saying that everyone had to see the Billy Joel documentary?
That's going to be a negative.
No? The Led Zeppelin documentary was not discussed?
Wasn't high on the list.
And the women hadn't all been watching Love Island all summer and comparing notes on Love Island?
Now, some of the younger ladies had been watching Love
That
Island.
had crossed over. That crossed over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's
Yeah.
interesting to hear. Because I got this quote. I was told everyone is watching Love Island, but I was getting it from a white woman. So, okay,
Yeah.
Love Island did cross over.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think that's the only thing, though.
Yeah, no one's talking Sinners or.
Or the new Spike Lee joint. But we have different tastes. But see, Brock, this is why what we're doing is so unique, because white folks and black folks rarely have similar interests. And it's because we don't understand where those interests are born, right? My dad went to homecoming until he was 80 years old at his HBCU, right? And the only reason he didn't go was because of his health. He went for as long as he could possibly go. It means that much to us. Your HBCU is where you find out who you are as a man, as a black man, as a black woman. And so, like, when Howardites, when we see each other, it's almost like, who's going to ask first? Are you going to homecoming? Right? Because at homecoming, we have a Facebook group. I went to Howard in the 80s, right? So you're connected, right? Throughout your lifetime. When I go to LinkedIn and I go to look to see if there's a job listing I might be interested in, I go to see how many people from Howard work at that place already.
Mark, when you say that, how come there's not like a black Facebook? Well, why are you giving all your money to Zuckerberg? Like, how come someone hasn't come up with not that we aren't segregated enough as Americans already, and maybe you could argue that those social media platforms, in a way, are for everybody, and they are a place everyone can meet, but they're all owned and operated by guys who've turned out to be pretty white supremacist support, pretty complicit, and pretty much just care about the dollar and don't care about the users, certainly, or society, or democracy in some cases.
Right. Fan Base just came out recently by Isaac Hayes III. I don't know if you remember Isaac Hayes. He was a big soul R&B singer back.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember the name, but couldn't name a song.
You don't remember Chocolate Chip? Some of the hits from Isaac Hayes.
No.
Ask your dad. Your dad probably played some of those. But he just came out with a new platform. I've checked it out a little bit. They do a lot of live stuff on there. It's not necessarily like the connections that you have on Facebook. It's a little bit different style platform. But you can post on there. You can create groups and do a lot of similar things. But think about what it would cost to create a Facebook these days, right? it's hard for black people to come up with 10, 20, 25 million dollars to launch a platform like that. And and then how do you get people to cross over?
Is there like
Right?
a black version of Tinder? Like I know Tinder's for everyone, and I'm being, it almost sounds racist in the questions, but I'm just curious, like what platforms then black people are comfortable being on, and where you might as well have your
You
own.
haven't seen blackpeoplemeet.com
No,
on the late night commercials?
No.
It's on the late night commercial. You must go to
I
bed
don't.
early.
I was gonna say I don't stay up late enough anymore. And if I'm staying up late, I'm usually watching a West Coast basketball game. That's the only thing that'll get me up. Maybe a Warriors game if I want to see Steph.
Yeah, they got expensive commercials on there. Black People Meet is on, those.
And is it successful? Like, is it working? Like,
I mean, I don't know. I haven't been on it, but it's been around for a while. So, that's something to consider. And if you're into interracial dating, that's a good place to go. If you're a white guy that wants to meet a black woman.
yeah, I was just thinking about how, like, they say, like, in the news, we're getting more and more siloed and more niche, less broad, that you could get black ownership in a whole bunch of niche things. And then, as we keep talking about, we can get if more black people support black businesses, it's going to help the overall economics and, right, that'll help the income inequality, and ownership matters, right? You keep talking about it in media. Ownership really matters.
Huge.
I don't know how I got off on that tangent from the social. And what was the meal? Does somebody cook, or do you order in like white people do?
No, it was catered. It was
Catered. Okay.
It was fancy. Yeah, he had some chicken carpaccio or something I couldn't pronounce. They had some great salads. They had the chicken and sausage pasta. They had spicy shrimp. They had a spicy sausage. The food was phenomenal. They had veggie skewers. They had chicken and veggie skewers. The food was phenomenal. And matter of fact, we talk about ownership. Owner of the only black manufactured bourbon and whiskey company in Michigan, she and her husband were at the party, and we talked about how they got it started, what the motivation was, and how it was a great story to listen to. Yeah, it's called Black Eden, and they make a really nice whiskey, and my friend, as a matter of fact, had a bottle of it, got a chance to taste it, and it was really good, smooth. I'm not a big whiskey drinker. I like a nice bourbon.
Can't do the hard stuff.
That was really
Okay. So no bagels with multiple cream cheese options.
No locks.
Okay.
But hey, I love bagels. Me and my wife, we get some bagels in there on you, bruh.
Come on, you grew up in the New York area. You can't help it.
Got to.
Breakfast of champions. All right.
Yeah.
Right, interesting. That's good tidbit for me. I'll be looking out for the Spike Lee movie. Spike Lee makes great movies. And I think, he's got Denzel in it too. That could cross over. You got Denzel crosses over.
Yeah.
White America.
Yeah. Did you see
What?
He Got Game?
What, with Ray Allen?
Yeah.
Did I see He Got Game? Come on. First of all, I've seen every basketball movie ever made. Second of all, I've seen that one like 20 times. Ray Allen was pretty good in that one.
You've seen Love and Basketball.
Yeah, I've seen Love and Basketball.
One of my favorite go-to movies. Gets me paid every time. My wife can't, and she tears up on it.
White Men Can't Jump. The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh with Julius Erving. Come on.
Erving. Yes, sir.
Seen them all. I've seen them all.
With Will Ferrell.
God. Semi-Pro is a great one. Hoosiers is a classic white movie.
Man.
Come on. Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf is a hidden basketball movie where Michael J. Fox turns into a wolf and
is it really?
becomes a great basketball player because he's a wolf now and not like a 5'6" white guy.
I didn't know that. Wow.
There's a basketball in the movie. I've seen it, Mark. Yes. Wow. Yes, I've seen He Got Game.
He Got Game is one of my faves. All right,
All right,
bro.
good stuff. Always a pleasure. I think the last 8 minutes is, this could be set for one again. All right,
There you
good to
go.
talk to you, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Peace.